Mama? Papa? Mama?
Talking and they won't leave us alone. I have to free you before they get us.
Papa, no!
Keep coming for me. Do the right thing. We can be free. You won't get us this way.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Non. Ignore. Bonjour. Ouh là là. Ah, mademoiselle. Enchantée. Docteur Charcot. Docteur Parker. Enchanté de faire votre connaissance. Je viens de très loin pour assister à vos cours.
Et que pensez-vous de ça? Des vampires, peut-être?
Un pire. Un malade mental, plutôt.
Heureux de voir que je ne suis pas le seul à sortir des sentiers battus.
Que voulez-vous dire, docteur?
La douceur de votre visage m'a fait réaliser. Aucun de ces laquais ne soupçonnera quoi que ce soit à travers votre déguisement. Ne vous inquiétez pas. J'admire la méfiance américaine. You are American, of course.
Oui. Docteur Lesley Parker, de San Francisco.
Sigmund Freud, monsieur le docteur Parker.
Messieurs, vous avez le privilège d'être les élèves de chaque cours. Aujourd'hui, au cours des 2 prochains mois, vous allez pouvoir étudier un de mes cas depuis sa jeunesse. Sa famille s'est déplacée de l'étranger uniquement dans le but de me rencontrer. J'ai accepté la fille de compétition et je vais vous informer de tout ce que je découvre grâce à mes techniques spéciales d'hypnose. I am he who has lived long and shall live eternally. In me are intertwined an unholy victory of death over life and a transcendence of rational belief. For I am the eternal, and you are the blood that makes me immortal. Merci, merci, merci! Il est convaincu d'être la victime d'une ancienne malédiction familiale. Et s'est persuadé qu'il doit l'assumer et peut-être vraiment tuer. Que pensez-vous? Quelle réponse voudrez-vous? Très intéressant. Non? Intéressant.
Peut-être que c'est lui le vampire qui tue les autochtones.
Peut-être. Peut-être.
Être une femme dans ce métier peut être une source d'assommement. Je crains pouvoir faire des connaissances ici, surtout en cachant ma véritable identité.
Ensuite, je suis heureux que vous ayez décidé de vous joindre à moi. Qu'y a-t-il chez Charcot qui vous traîne si loin de chez vous?
Je me spécialisais I specialize in phobias and hope to use his theories of hypnosis as a way to break down the walls that prevent others from overcoming their neuroses. What?
So you travel this great distance, disguising yourself as a man, to simply learn from Charcot?
What more could there be?
Something more personal.
No. I'm here to learn. I'll be opening my own practice when I return to America.
I can be both a colleague and friend.
My parents died when I was a child. My father was never the same after the war. He murdered my mother, attacked me with a knife. He tripped on the stairs coming after me and fell on his blade. I sat in the dark as he bled to death. I don't even think he saw me. He was in the clutches of his dementia all the way to his grave.
And now?
Nyctophobia. Ever since that night, darkness has become my cruel friend, sending me into my own hysterical state.
If I may be so bold, I would also venture to surmise that your father's violence has left you with a distrust of love.
So what's your diagnosis of Charcot's new client? Obviously, you're not taken in by the vampire act.
I am not certain, but I suspect a kind of hysteria. Something that makes him a vampire.
Makes him a vampire?
Not in the literal sense. But don't you think there may be a morceau of truth somewhere in the stories?
Certainly not. I'm sure there are perfectly rational explanations.
Legends begin as someone's fantasy, arising from deep in the mind where even the neurotic person does not realize it.
So that's why you came to study with Charcot? To study neurotics and their fantasies?
Charcot is one of the very few medical men who takes hypnosis seriously. We may not know how a story becomes a legend, But we do know that the human mind creates the story.
Qu'est-ce que vous faites là? Qui êtes-vous?
You're very quiet tonight. What is wrong?
Charcot's lecture today. Do you think he's right about hypnosis?
That only neurasthenics can be hypnotized?
If that's true, then it changes everything for me. My hope is to use hypnosis on anyone with a phobia, not just those with nervous diseases. Do you believe he's right?
Well, he has a great deal more experience than I, certainly. But no, I don't agree. I think that time will show that many people can be hypnotized. Even you. Val? Sigmund? Val! Je n'en reviens pas que ce soit toi. Ça fait combien de temps? 5, 6 ans?
Vous seulement c'est pourquoi?
Lesley, permettez-moi de vous présenter Val Drakul. Val, docteur Lesley Parker des États-Unis.
Enchanté, monsieur.
Enchanté. Parlez-vous anglais, par hasard?
Val speaks English very well. I met him in England, where his English helped me very much. Eh? You must dine with me and my fellow student, Monsieur Parker, n'est-ce pas?
So, Sigmund, what brings you to Paris?
Dr. Parker and I are studying with Dr. Charcot at the Salpêtrière.
Dr. Charcot.
We are seeking to use hypnosis as a method for curing hysteria. Are you okay?
Dr. Charcot is quite famous.
Ah, so you have heard of him?
Indirectly.
Oh, gentlemen, forgive me, but I've let the time get away from me and I must attend to some work.
It's quite dark outside. Will you be okay on your own?
The street lamps guide me home.
Ah. Then if you don't mind, I will stay and chat with Val a while longer.
Of course. Val, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'll be calling upon you in the next couple of days for that fencing match.
I look forward to it.
Gentlemen.
Your friend is very charming. I find myself strangely attracted to him. Can't remember when I've been so...
I shouldn't worry. Almost everyone who knows Lesley feels the same. Perhaps it's just the air in Paris.
Still, I
Would you like to come talk to me about it? Probably curable.
Talk about what?
What is going on?
Is he still there?
He's leaving.
I don't know what to do, Sigmund.
You're acting as if you're the murderer stalking Paris.
It might be.
Désolé. Je pensais qu'il y avait des coups à jeter.
S'il vous plaît, Dr. Parker, rejoignez-nous. Nous vous attendions.
Dr. Parker, let me begin by saying that Dr. Charcot and I have discussed your plans for treating phobias with hypnosis, and we agree that such a course of treatment would be ideal for Dr. Charcot's patient.
I don't understand.
You will in just a moment. But first, I must ask you for complete discretion and secrecy in this matter. Do you agree? Très bien. The patient I have been discussing in class is Val Drakul. His parents came to me.
I only found out last night after you left. Val implored me to help him.
Yeah, continue. As I told Dr. Freud, I have run my course with what I might do for Valentine. I work in neurology, but whatever has taken hold of Valentine's mind, it is not medical. When Dr. Freud came to me last night, we both immediately thought of you. You are intimately familiar with phobias, and you have excelled in hypnosis better than any of my students. You are the best person to work with Valentine.
But,
I know this because I taught you.
my studies here are nearly done. I'll be opening my own practice when I return to America.
We only need you to agree to handle this case, and the details, they can be worked out.
Think about it, Doctor. We've never seen a case like this before. If you can help Val, you could make medical history.
Very well.
Dr. Parker, we will forever be grateful that you have agreed to treat our son. We are most willing for Val to leave with you. You will be paid very well, of course.
Oh, thank you, but I don't do this for the financial aspects alone.
No, of course not.
Please understand the urgency here. I'm afraid.
We are afraid that he believes this curse. That in his mind he's become a vampire.
He says he has periods where he can't remember anything. Time passes and there is no recollection of what has transpired.
My wife and I must return home within a fortnight. This will ease our minds to know he is in such good hands.
Should we consider him to be dangerous?
We simply do not know.
I appreciate you being willing to take me on as patient.
Well, I realize this is a difficult situation for you to be in, and that's why I'd like to help you to get to the root of your problem.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to get to know each other. And when we're done, you will know me inside and out.
What do you mean?
Smooth as glass.
He told you.
No, well, not directly. After much pressing, Sigmund confirmed, but I promise you, you look very handsome as a man.
I was the only woman in medical school, and I was treated like a freak. No one treats me like a freak now.
And nor will they. I promise I will keep your secret.
You said that you have cousins here in Paris, correct? I'd like to meet them. Tonight, if possible. The more I can find out about your family history before we leave, the better I'll be able to help you.
Purchased theater a little over 1 year ago. Since then, we have become quite a hit here in Paris. We are starting rehearsals for our third production.
Absolutely beautiful.
She is, yes. Actors live downstairs, as do we, now, behind the theater, while our home is being finished. Not quite yet, but we are comfortable.
Who is that?
Uncle of the first great baron he was, which would make him our great uncle, I suppose.
Is he the one who had the 15 children?
Yes, the womanizer.
And who are they? I don't recognize them.
That is Vlad Tepes and his first wife. He is the one that all the legends are about. Stories say she flung herself from the fortress walls when they were surrounded by the Turks.
And when they found her, she looked as if she had no blood left in her whole body, white as alabaster.
So I assume you know about these strange happenings at my father's estate.
The killings.
But just like you say, white as snow. The murders are the main reason we came to Paris.
And now you are moving on to San Francisco?
How did you know?
Because we are going too.
My dear cousin, do you really believe you might have the curse?
I don't know what they believe. First the murders on the estate, and now the murders in Paris.
It is an awful mess, yes, but a curse. I think we're all adult enough to recognize that as a tale to frighten little children.
What Val believes, it's likely a form of hysteria. And that's why I'm going to help Val get to the root of his troubles.
Since we're accompanying you, I have a request. It seems hysteria runs in our blood. I too have a condition. A terrible fear of confined places.
Claustrophobia.
Yes, exactly.
Perhaps you would allow Marcy to be part of your group.
I think it would be a wonderful idea. And especially good for Val, if he's agreeable.
Of course. I'd do anything for Guy and Marcy.
Since you were coming, I think there is something you should also know.
This is going to be very interesting.
Bravo.
Fraulein.
My apologies for being late.
Quite all right. You're sure we have time?
The ship doesn't depart for several hours.
Then we'll call this our last meal.
Oh, I just received a letter from a potential patient in San Francisco. She's a recluse, unable to leave her home. She's offered me full use of her mansion to see patients.
Das ist wunderbar. What a wonderful opportunity.
I'm going to start group therapy sessions. I really believe group therapy could be most helpful.
It will be quite the experiment. Do you think you'll fall in love with him?
He's my patient. That's all.
I see your fondness for him growing. That alone may save him from the fate the Drakuls fear.
You really are a romantic at heart, aren't you?
Good day, Dr. Parker. Mrs. Lee is expecting you.
You're Dr. Parker?
You were expecting someone else.
Yes, I was.
Then hopefully I won't disappoint you.
Please. That seat over there is quite comfortable.
Thank you.
You're not a Southerner, I notice. I'm from Georgia, and I can spot a Yankee as soon as she opens her mouth.
I was born here, in California.
Yeah, you can't help that. Elizabeth, would you bring us some tea?
Yes, Auntie.
Please forgive Elizabeth. She is not only my housekeeper, but also my ward. She is not pleased with our arrangement, which allows her to continue living here.
That's quite understandable. But she seems charming enough.
I suppose, yes, you would think so.
But of course, what I'm here for is to help you.
Then, let me confess something that is not at all typical of us Southerners, and I must admit I am ashamed of it. The fact is, I have become afraid. Afraid to go outside this house, afraid of people. This fear, I believe, is referred to as agoraphobia. Now you understand why it is paramount that our group sessions must take place here in my home. I hope that will be satisfactory to you.
You have electric bulbs.
My husband's wealth has afforded me many comforts not afforded by others.
This suits my needs perfectly. I very much appreciate it. Your husband?
Long dead. We left Georgia after the end of the unfortunate war between the states. Sadly, he died some time ago.
And how long have you been afraid to leave your home?
For the last 15 years, since that day.
I should warn you, the tea is particularly strong. Just like Mrs. Lee likes it.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Did you tell the doctor about your coffin?
No.
Very well.
She keeps a coffin in her room just like the one Mr. Lee was buried in. It has a glass plate and a lid right over the little pillow so she can see out while she's sleeping.
That's enough, Elizabeth. Leave Dr. Parker and me alone now.
You sleep in a coffin?
Reminds me of my husband. It comforts me. I feel closer to him because, after all, he is sleeping in one just like it.
And your husband's death, this is the first time you became afraid to go out. And you never experienced this type of fear before.
I've always been a person that stayed to herself, but nothing like this.
Many of the fears we experience as adults, even during traumas, are actually rooted much further back, to our childhood to be exact. What is your earliest childhood memory?
I don't know.
This is something hypnosis will help you with.
I shall put my faith in you.
So, how are Guy and Marcy settling in?
They love San Francisco. Guy wants to see everything, but I must admit that Marcy's ready to start sessions.
And you? How are you doing?
I can't say my suite is nice as your accommodations, but
Any blackouts?
you saw the newspaper this morning.
A death similar to those in Paris.
I've had 2 episodes since we've been here. One was yesterday. I don't want to believe I could be doing these things.
Okay, tell me this. If you were a vampire, how could you be standing out here in the sun?
It's a myth, it's not real.
And vampires, they're real? You've seen them.
Of course, I haven't seen one.
Val, you must listen to me. If you were a vampire, I wouldn't be standing here allowing you to thrust a sword at me.
I've never fenced with women before.
Well, then you've never been beaten by one either.
Dr. Parker, Auntie thought you might like some refreshments.
Elizabeth? Thank you, Elizabeth. Perhaps you could tell me of this curse now?
It all started with Vlad Tepes, the distant grandfather in the painting at Guy's home. Where I come from, he was both hero and villain. Said to kill without mercy, drinking the blood of his victims and leaving their bodies rot in the sun. When Vlad finally died at the hands of assassin, he was buried outside the monastery at Sargov. His son and servants swore they saw his body placed in their coffin. Others were convinced they saw him skulking about in the night air. As the story grew, panic set in. His own son went to the cemetery to see for himself. And as the story grew worse, Letty haunted the countryside, killing, drinking the blood of the innocent to remain alive. For centuries, my family has believed that that curse was placed upon our bloodline for Vlad's sake.
You were told these stories as a boy. I believe that childhood traumas determine much of adult behavior. While most people carry these fears with them, they're not overtly affected by them. But then others, like yourself, have them ingrained within the deepest part of their psyche.
The others will know, won't they?
Yes. Isolation and loneliness are the worst maladies of the human experience. Together, you will see that you are not alone in your fears.
I hope you can help me more than Charcot did.
Oh, I have been meaning to tell you. I just received a letter from a Mr. Casey. He is an associate of Dr. Charcot. He wants to observe my use of Charcot's methods.
And how does Casey know Charcot?
He met him through a Madame Blavatsky at a seance in New York.
And you know this man?
No, but my correspondences assure me that he does indeed know Charcot.
Good evening, Mr. Casey. Dr. Parker and her guests are already in the parlor.
Much appreciated.
Mr. I. M. Casey.
Mr. Casey, pleasure to meet you.
Well, it's a great honor to meet you as well, madam. Forgive me, Dr. Charcot.
Like matters of the mind, we may see one thing, but are looking at another. The trick is unmasking the truth.
Oh, well, this will be much more than I originally anticipated. With delight, of course.
Good evening, all. First, brief introductions. Val Drakul, along with Marcy and Guy Khrushchev, Miss Roberta Williams, Mr. Albert Simmons, and our hostess is Mrs. Annabelle Tolliver-Lee, who is graciously allowing us to use her home for our meetings. And we are also privileged to have Mr. I. M. Casey joining us. Mr. Casey is an associate of Dr. Charcot, and he knows a great deal about the new techniques of hypnosis. I will meet with each of you individually during the week, but these group sessions are most important in my process. Trust is vital in facing our fears, and we shall learn to rely upon each other for that support. So, before we begin, I would like each of you to share why you are here. Mrs. Lee, would you like to start?
The fact is, I'm afraid to go outside this house. I have been unable to go outside these walls for nearly 15 years. I had taken my buggy out to a gold mining camp that was being managed by my husband. As I approached the office, I heard an argument coming from within. I opened the door just as 3 men gunned my husband down. The murderers chased me, but I managed to escape them, eventually getting back here to our home. From that day on, I've never been able to leave this house. Not even to bury my husband.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
My fear, I have this horror of knives, of anything sharp. Can you imagine that? Nothing sharp? I can't use a knife to cut my own food. I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go to dinner parties. I have to tear at my food with my mouth like an animal. It's the first time I've been keeping that a secret all these years.
When did this first occur?
When I was 8 years old, I don't know where it came from. No memory of anything that would have started this. And my father used to beat me, believing that that would get me over my fears, but all it did was make me more afraid.
We're all here to help you, Albert. No one is going to judge you. We're all in this together.
I do know the source of my phobia. When I was a girl, and my brother was away at school, my mother would entertain visitors. She would make me sit alone in my room. And when I would cry for her, she would come in and beat me savagely, and then lock me in the closet for hours. Sometimes days. And now terrified of
enclosed spaces. She can barely ride in a carriage.
And you are?
Her brother. With Dr. Parker's permission, I am here to support my sister through this.
Dr. Parker, you know the difficulty I have even talking of what happened to me.
I do. But doing so will take the power away from your fear.
I'm afraid of heights. Afraid of falling again. When I was little, I fell down an old well on the back of our property. The fall knocked me out, and when I came to, it was nighttime. I cried for help, but no one came.
How long were you down there?
5 days. I had broken my arm and gotten an infection. By the time my father found me, I was nearly dead.
You're lucky to be alive.
Even talking about heights makes my heart feel like it's going to burst through my chest.
You show tremendous courage just being here, Roberta. You should be proud of yourself. Now, before we begin.
What about Mr. Drakul?
I believe I'm afflicted with family curse.
What's that supposed to mean?
Val suffers from a most unusual condition. He believes he is becoming a vampire.
Oh my.
Roberta, please, we're all in this together. What Val has is an affliction of the mind, just like yourself.
No, it's all right. I understand your concerns. I'd be frightened as well.
Seems if he's going to be supportive of them, they should all be supportive of him.
Well put, Mr. Casey.
My apologies. I've just never heard of such a thing.
Nor I.
It was a great pleasure to meet you, Dr. Parker. I look forward to the next steps in your process.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. I look forward to hearing your insight.
May I call on you tomorrow evening? I have some sensitive information from Dr. Charcot for you.
Certainly. Perhaps you can call for dinner.
Very well. Good night.
So,
You were magnificent tonight. You gave me new hope that you'll save me.
not here. Not now.
Oh, Elizabeth. How lovely to see you.
Your meeting, it went well?
Indeed.
And you believe you can help my auntie?
With some patience and work, yes, I can help her.
How do you know if a person is really afflicted as they say?
People who would fake phobias such as these would do so more publicly where they could get more attention. There's really no attention to be gained here.
You say so. Auntie says you pretended to be a man in Paris. However did you manage it? Your hands are so soft. As is your face.
Val! What are you doing here?
Guy and Marcy wished to get late bite to eat, so I thought maybe you'd like to come.
That would be lovely.
What you do in the city is your business, but I will not tolerate that behavior in my home. I don't want you talking with Dr. Parker.
Afraid I'll tell her your little secret.
You wouldn't dare.
I would. But I won't. I'm quite sure the charming doctor wouldn't believe for a moment that the great Mrs. Lee is the one who put 5 bullets into Mr. Lee.
And took you and that hussy into my house.
Until the day she died, my mother never knew what you did. It wasn't her fault your husband took advantage of her.
He deserved the death he got for his indiscretion.
Is that what I am? An indiscretion?
I've kept you well, so don't you complain about the names I called you.
I would watch what you say, old woman. You may have invented a marvelous story of a poor recluse, but I can also unmask you. You would be the shame of San Francisco.
That was an exquisite meal, Elizabeth. Absolutely exquisite.
Glad you liked it, sir. I will certainly let the cook know.
Much appreciated.
I've been quite anxious all day to hear your news.
I'm afraid it's not the best of news, madam.
What happened? Are Charcot and Sigmund all right?
Let me backtrack, if I may, just a little. I fear there's been some deception. My name is Casey, and I am an associate of Dr. Charcot, but
The police?
madam, please,
You're a detective?
please keep your voice down, madam. No one must know who I truly am.
Why not?
Because Val's parents are dead. They were murdered.
When?
Well, the police aren't certain. They think it happened either the night before the two of you both left, or the night after.
The Parisian police found the bodies of the Baron and the Baroness in the Seine, and their throats had been savaged. Apparently victims of the same murders that have plagued the city.
Val will be devastated. But why would you travel this far to tell me?
Well, under the circumstances, Dr. Charcot felt it would be best.
There's more.
6 years ago, there were a series of murders in London, identical to the ones in Paris. And now it seems there are 2 similar murders here in San Francisco.
And Val was where all of the murders have taken place. He was in London 6 years ago going to college.
Yeah, Dr. Charcot said you were very smart.
No, this is insane. Val is not a psychopath, and he would have no reason to murder his parents.
At the moment, I have no way to prove that Val is the one doing this.
And you want me to help you prove that he's the murderer?
No, madam, not at all. No, I have no jurisdiction here in the States. I'm here at the behest of Dr. Charcot, who thought you might be in danger if it proves to be the case, that's all. If I may, it seems very clear to me that there's some attraction between you and Val. This will make this very difficult to hear, but if he is the one doing this, he will need far more than you're able to provide him here. He will need an asylum. Madam, please look at me. I know your heart may be struggling to hear me say this, but as a doctor, you know I'm right. Yeah.
What will we do now?
Nothing. Continue with your therapies as if you know none of this. And if, for whatever reason, Val leaves the house, I or an associate of mine will be trailing him from afar.
we tell Val about his parents?
Not a word. Not if he's the killer, it would only force him to run, yeah?
And if he isn't?
If he isn't, then God forgive us.
I want you to think back to your parents. Did your mother ever hurt you?
Hurt me how?
Did she ever beat you or hurt you physically?
Mother would never do that.
Then you would have no reason to hurt her. Is that correct?
Of course.
And what of your father? Val? What of your father?
He only wanted me to be a good man. To grow up and make him proud.
What did he do to you?
Father, stop. Stop, please.
What is he doing to you?
It's a long piece of wood and he's thrashing me with it. Please, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Please, Father, stop. Stop it.
Why is he hitting you?
I can't please him. I am not strong enough. He says, I am not enough of a man. You must be stronger. You will get the curse. It hurts, Father. It hurts.
On my
Stop
command,
it. Please.
you will obey.
Stop it. Stop it.
3,
No, stop it.
2, 1.
Stop it. I'll kill you. Why would you do that?
Val, don't you see? Your father's using the curse as a way of forcing you to fear him.
Damn it, Lesley. Everyone feared the curse. Everyone in my family is afraid of it.
That's just it.
No. When you're gonna realize this is some childhood trauma? You are chasing your problems, not mine.
Don't say that.
Your father scarred you. I know that. But haven't you considered that maybe I'm not crazy? Maybe I am hurting people. Why haven't you asked me yet? Why haven't you asked me if I've hurt anyone? You can't ask me because you're afraid of what I might say. You can't tell me, Lesley. Unless you're willing to know the entire truth.
You have all been doing phenomenally well over the past few weeks. And tonight, Marcy will be the first participant to take the next step. With Mrs. Lee's permission, she shall climb into her coffin for 10 minutes, proving she can face her phobia.
Oh, I do hope so.
For this first time, we will do this together. When we have success, we shall see who will volunteer next. Marcy, are you ready? Thank you, Elizabeth.
I'm not sure I can do this.
You have to trust me. It'll be just like we talked about.
Doctor, please.
All is fine.
I can't do this.
Everything is fine. Just lie back, just like we practiced. Focus on the watch. Eyes focused on the spinning of the watch. You're relaxing. You're calm. You're drifting.
Lesley Parker. No, let me out. Help me! Somebody help me!
What is it? What happened?
There's Marcy! Is she alright? Marcy! What's happened? Marcy! I won't open! Help me! We've got to get the lid boy! Is she? What do we do?
There's a mechanism on the inside! Come on,
What?
the inside!
You have to find the lever on the inside! It will open the casket! Marcy! Accaparite oggi! Why won't it play?
Find the casket key!
The key! Right here! Where is it? Marcy! They're finding the key! Hold on! Marcy! Somebody suffocate! Let's open it! Hurry! Open! Marcy! Marcy! Why, Marcy! 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 Marcy!
No, my friend. There's no pulse. There's no pulse. I'm sorry. I'm so bloody sorry, but she's gone.
How did the coffin become locked?
It couldn't have been locked. The casket slammed shut.
They don't lock by themselves! You did it! You did it! Take her out!
Your hands are like ice, yet you're sweating.
It's my phobia. I'm afraid of the dark.
So, the doctor is also a patient.
It's me. You can talk to me.
Oh, where were you?
What do you mean?
Someone had to seal that coffin. You were the first one in. You were there so fast.
So what do you say?
She's wondering if you killed Marcy.
Maybe your bloodsucker urges.
She was my cousin. How dare you?
Where were you?
Roaming the halls like everyone else. Where were you?
I was right here.
Alone with no one to prove it.
Where's Guy?
He wouldn't leave Marcy.
Oh, I think it's time for a brandy. Anyone else?
Elizabeth, I must ask you to brave the storm.
Why?
We will need the police.
But I'll freeze to death in the rain.
Don't argue, child. You will do as I say.
Auntie, please.
With your permission, I'll fetch your horse from the stable and bring back the authorities as quick as possible.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Simmons.
Guy, how are you?
How do you think I am? My sister is dead and one of you killed her.
We don't know that yet.
It could have been an accident.
The mechanism inside the casket was sabotaged. Someone broke it, so it couldn't be opened from the inside. Why would you do this?
No, Lesley would never.
I feel terrible about what happened to Marcy, but to think that I would
commit murder!
I would have no reason to do this.
You're forgetting one thing. That casket is where I sleep. The mechanism may have been broken to trap me, not Marcy.
Auntie, no, I would never do that.
Are you saying that you're...
But we didn't see her actually find the key. She turned around and it was in her hand.
You're all becoming hysterical. There's no need to point fingers.
Yes, there is. One of you killed her.
Where are the authorities?
There's no police coming. The road's been washed out. We're stuck here for now.
We can't leave?
I'm afraid not. Once the storm clears, we should be able to find another way around, but right now it's the devil outside.
Very well. Seems you shall all be staying for the night. Elizabeth, please find some dry clothes for Mr. Simmons and prepare the guest rooms.
You have to do something.
Oh, no. If I do anything, it will only expose me. If they find out who I am, it will alert Val.
There's been a murder.
That's not a certainty.
How can you say that?
Nobody knew about a coffin until you announced it. There was no time to sabotage the coffin and set a murder unless you told Val.
Val knew, as did Marcy and Guy, and of course Annabelle and Elizabeth, as I had to get permission.
This murder doesn't match the others. It can only mean one thing. There are two murderers.
Lesley,
Yes.
we need to talk. You think I did this? There's no reason for anyone to think it was me. I remember everything that's happened since we've been here.
I want to believe you, but
I would never hurt Marcy. I loved her.
and now she's dead because of me. It was my fault. Because of my instructions, Marcy got into that casket. I initiated everything.
We all must die eventually. Marcy, she liked me. She said you were helping her. The first person to do so in all these years.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know what happened out there, but we need to find out.
We will.
I understand the others, but this Mr. Casey. Did you know him in Paris?
No, I think he worked with Charcot much earlier.
There is something quite odd about the man.
He would have no reason to do this.
At this point, no one would have a reason to kill Marcy. Which makes this all the more baffling.
Ah, you've returned. Mr. Casey was just sharing with me the most fascinating story. It seems that Mr. Casey and Dr. Charcot became acquainted through the spiritualist movement.
Well, Dr. Charcot felt that the medium's trance might be very beneficial to his understanding of hypnosis.
So you believe in the occult?
Oh, I believe in a great many things in this world that cannot be so easily explained by science, yeah.
That's why we are going to have a seance.
Elizabeth? Miss Williams? I'll just wait in here.
Oh, Marcy. It's so dreadful. Do you think we'll be safe?
I think there's a reasonable explanation that extends beyond murder.
Dr. Parker was making such headway with us. I can't imagine having to stop.
Had you met Marcy before the group?
No. I believe she only just arrived in America.
There is something sinister about the two of them, don't you think?
Guy and Marcy, and Val for that matter, all seem to have a hint of darkness. I suppose anyone with a touch of madness must have something sinister in them.
Do I strike you as mad?
I didn't realize you suffered from hysteria.
I don't believe I suffer from hysteria, but if I were mad, would I know it?
A seance? There is no time for such lunacy.
It's the perfect time. With Mr. Casey's help, we might ask Marcy what happened to her.
Absolutely not.
I understand your reluctance.
I'm not just reluctant, I absolutely forbid it. This could be disastrous for my patients.
We may learn something that someone in this house is keeping hidden from us. We may learn that there's more at work here than just...
Seances are hogwash. Once the storm passes, scientific analysis will...
Dr. Parker, we cannot analyze that which we cannot see or touch. This is an extraordinary situation. It requires an approach far beyond your scientific method.
And what type of approach do you recommend here?
Well, we must appeal to a higher power.
Jupiter? Zeus? Or perhaps Beelzebub?
Do not take the spirit so lightly, madam. There's a murderer among us now. In order to expose him, we must communicate with the victim.
I'll say something. Help me put a stop to this nonsense.
This is how we could find out what happened to Marcy.
What? How could you possibly believe this?
Back home, we often turn to fortune tellers in times of crisis.
Why would you want to do this? No, Val.
Enough of this. This is my home, and we shall have this seance.
Mrs. Lee, this is a terrible idea.
No, Dr. Parker. This will happen.
What kind of game are you playing, sir?
I do not play games, madam. If you'll excuse me.
How could you do this? You should be investigating Marcy's death, not playing parlor
My
tricks.
only aim is to find out the truth, madam. And if Val believes in the spirits, then perhaps the spirits can unveil some truths about him.
Metaphorically, or are you actually serious?
Perhaps it would be more attractive to you if you could think of it as a scientific experiment, yeah?
Scientific! Ha! Dr. Freud would say the medium perceives only his own subconscious.
Your friend doesn't believe in the powers of the occult.
Oh, for goodness sakes, how could you believe in anything so irrational?
You believe in a seance or not, it will open those people's minds.
You might damage them!
Them or Val? Are you afraid Val might reveal himself to be the monster he believes he's
I
becoming?
can help Val see that this is all in his mind.
Allow me this one experiment! If it fails, I will divulge myself.
Fine!
And begin a proper investigation. Where is Guy?
In his room. Hopefully you can understand he could not make it.
Of course. Dr. Parker, would you join us, madam? If you would all hold the hand of the person sitting on either side of you, all the way around. That's it. Mrs. Lee, I'm afraid it's a necessity. Yeah, well done.
I really think that such things as seances should be outlawed. They're completely irrational.
Dr. Parker, madam, I think you'll find there are things beyond science. If you will allow yourself a little faith.
Roberta, focus on the candle. It'll help.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Now, we are suspended in the mist, trapped in time. Here in this lesser reality, I call upon the spirits of the other world to reveal themselves, tell us their secrets.
This is a trick.
No. No, back home I've seen this. It's the parting of the veils.
I call now upon the guardians of the gate. Stand aside that our dearly departed loved ones may find us and show us what lies beyond the veil.
They're all dead. All dead, but they won't stop talking
Marcy! Tell us the truth of your demise.
Roberta, you must flee.
Speak to us, Marcy. With your aid, we may take wing and fly above the precipice. Fly free as birds. Fly to a greater understanding.
There is danger here, Roberta. You must free yourself before the evil finds you.
No. Marcy, no!
What is it? What are you hearing?
Roberta, you can fly. You only need to try. I promise you can fly and be free.
Roberta! What are you hearing?
Be free, Roberta. Fly away. Fly free.
Free as a bird. I can fly.
It was Guy. He was leaning over her.
But why? Why would he do this?
This matches the murders. In England and Paris, exactly.
So Guy is the killer.
Certainly seems that way, yeah. What's murders? What are you talking about? Dr. Charcot sent me to protect Dr. Parker from you, thinking you might try to hurt her.
I only recently found out. I didn't believe them.
There's something wrong with all of this. The wound on the neck matches the murders in England and Paris. But Guy was never in England, and Val was. Well, Guy was in England. What? When? When I was at Oxford, he was studying acting. He was using his pseudonym.
You must hurry. It's Albert. Oh, Albert, no! What happened?
We heard a crash and then a scream. We found him like this.
I'm not afraid anymore.
Who did this to you? Guy! Stay there, Val! You're the one with the curse? You call it a curse. I call it a gift.
Please let me.
I'll rip out your throat. You Marcy, your own sister. Why would you? No, I didn't kill her. Can't you see that? But we stole you over Roberta's body, and poor Albert here.
It's just a delusion, Guy. This isn't real.
The curse is real.
And you believe that nothing can stop you? Are you familiar with your own folklore, Guy? It states a wooden stake must pierce the heart of a vampire in order to kill him.
Surely you know, Doctor, that all folklore is not based in reality.
I hope you're wrong!
You're going to have to be faster than that.
Are you ready for the three of us?
Do you believe in the curse now?
I'm having a hard time believing what I'm seeing.
Auntie, he said he didn't do it. If he didn't do it, I can't explain what I saw, but he'll return for us.
No, now that we know who and what he is, he'll return to Paris, I suspect. Regain his strength, form a new plan.
And where is this Mr. Casey?
Speaking to the police about Guy.
And you're certain Guy Krusek is behind the killings?
It has to be him. He was raving lunatic. We must stop him, Sigmunder.
Sigmund, you have to help us. I think I might be losing my mind. I saw him disappear.
My dear Lesley, the answer to this dilemma is right in front of you. Think for just a moment. What could cause all of you to see this mass delusion?
Hypnosis.
With talent and experience, it would be possible for a man to do this to a group of people without them ever knowing.
Extraordinary. Val's blackouts.
He could have been forcing Val to lose time.
So this curse, it's all in our minds.
There are always scientific explanations for every irrational event.
Val.
Key!
Stay here.
Theatre of the Macabre. Seems a good stage for the unveiling of many truths, yeah?
You hypnotized me!
Of course I did. I am an associate of Dr. Charcot, after all.
You were in Paris! It was you! You murdered them!
Your powers of perception are growing, madam.
This can't be real.
Dr. Parker, you have no idea. And yes, utter darkness, waiting to swallow you up. You can't do it, can you? You can't overcome your own phobia.
Why did you kill them?
Roberta, Albert, Guy's appetite revealed his true nature. There was no need for any more to die.
You speak as if Guy really is a vampire. There is no curse. There is no legacy. There is no such thing as a vampire!
Madam! May I speak plainly with you?
What is that?
Allow me, if you will, to end this ridiculous charade. I'm the first victim of Vlad Tepes. He impaled me, left me to twist on a metal spike for 24 hours before he bit me. Can you imagine the kind of suffering in that transformation? Surely not as painless as those born with the curse.
That's not possible. He lived in the 15th century. You'd be over 400 years old.
Yes. But in that time, I've walked in the darkness and been a slave to my own hunger.
England. Paris. Oh! You're mad!
Yes. Yes, madam, I am mad. The longer I live, the less of my humanity I have. I have lost the ability to control myself, and that is why I have decided to destroy the Drakul line. First the Baron, then the Baroness, then Marcy. Only Guy and Val remain.
So you are a vampire who is killing other vampires. Is that what I am to believe?
My God, madam, if I haven't persuaded you of this yet, I don't know what else to say. You must believe when I tell you. I could kill them myself, but there is no guarantee I would have the will to take my own life. You must kill me. I'll make it easy for you. Then you will kill Guy and Val.
I won't kill Val!
Then he will kill you. If not today, someday. We're running out of time, Doctor. You must end this. If you allow us to live, we will cause more harm than you can possibly imagine. Take this. Do what I ask.
I can't.
Madam, you have no choice!
Val! Where are you? I'll find you! I can't do this. I can't do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
He is here somewhere. Be careful.
Dark. Dark. Ah. I can't do this. Val, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Val! Val! Where are you? I don't know. Is Sigmund?
No, I think he's just unconscious. Guy strength, we couldn't do anything.
You have made this too easy, following me to Paris.
Casey is dead. I killed him.
The old bastard deserved to die for what he did to Marcy. Isn't that right, cousin?
What does he mean?
No, he's raving lunatic.
I am quite sane, Val, but it is your sanity that is most disconcerting.
Show yourself! Face us like men!
I am not a man. I am not a man. I am Dracul.
Mark Howard!
This curse must end!
This curse in my blood and in yours!
Casey said you and he...
I think I'm a vampire.
I don't know.
Where is he?
He's dead.
Oh, danke schön. Thank you, friends. You saved my life. Well. Quite the experience, eh? Kidnapped by a madman?
Well, not madman. Vampire.
Ah, rubbish. Not vampires, just overworked imaginations, both of you.
You think this curse is only in our imagination?
Casey was a vampire.
Most marvelous. The human tendency to see what we want to see. I must write that up.
You really don't believe us?
My dear Lesley, there are always scientific explanations for every irrational event.
There is something more than science.
You still have a lot to learn. I think now would be an excellent time for us to get the two of you to a doctor.